The hour of convening having arrived, all members of this House will please report to their designated seat. All members. Mr. Clerk, would you ring the bell, please? All members will please take their seats. We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green and answer yes or here to signify their presence in the chamber. Please answer loudly so that the clerk's office can hear you. Mr. Clerk, you may unlock the machines and call the roll.
Alexander, Honolowitz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Evstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones, Jones J., Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, Laricchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkle, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yerda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernal, Cannon, Clark, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B, Moore C, Morris M, Nelson, Wen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaud, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M, Stevens M, Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams M.F., Williams N., Wilson, Beasley Teague,
Here.
Bonner,
Here.
Buckner,
Here.
Burchett,
Here.
Caldwell,
Here.
Campbell,
Here.
Cantrell,
Here.
Dickerson,
Here.
Dukes,
Here.
Gamble,
Here.
Gilliard,
Here.
Gordon,
Here.
Green,
Here.
Gullett,
Here.
Jones J.B.,
Here.
Kirby, Lott, Mathis,
Here.
Metz, Momtahan,
Here.
Park,
Here.
Pruitt, Rogers,
Here.
Singleton,
Here.
Stovall,
Here.
Williams R.
Present.
Bodie, Davis, Dreyer, Hutchinson, Jones J. Kelly, Kirby, Knight, Lopez Romero, Lott, Metz,
Here.
Wen, Perkel, Wilkerson.
Okay, members will take a moment and look at the board and be sure that it is accurate. Representative Moore. Any others? Mr. Clerk may lock the machines. Doorkeepers will close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good morning. Another beautiful day outside today for Legislative Day 34. And we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain. after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 166th House District, the chairman of the Aging and Human Relations and Aging Committee, Representative Jesse Petrie. Representative Petrie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. It is an honor for me today to introduce you to a dear friend of mine and my pastor at Calvary Baptist Church. About 8 years ago, Kenny Grant came to our church and has been a blessing to my family and to our entire congregation. He is someone that is renowned, frankly, throughout our community. I think everyone in our delegation here knows him and knows him well. We're all excited about you being here today, Pastor. But Kenny is from Brunswick, and he and his wife Shirley have 4 children. He's pastored in Brunswick, and he's pastored in Savannah for many years now. And an interesting thing about Kenny is he is a former Marine Corps drill instructor, and he is known for his unique style of preaching. And so y'all are going to love meeting my pastor, Pastor Kenny Grant. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Brother Jesse. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the great privilege I have this morning to come, for the invite to be the chaplain of the day for this great assembly. I want to thank you on behalf of citizens of Georgia for your service. Thank you for serving our great state. I want to recite a poem for you by James Patrick Kinney. It's called The Cold Within. 6 humans trapped by happenstance in the dark and bitter cold. Each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the stories told. Their dying fire in need of logs, the first person held his back. For on the faces around the fire, he noticed that one was black. The next man sat across the way and saw one not of his church, and just could not bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. The next man sat in tattered clothes while he gave his coat a hitch and said, "Why should what I have be used to warm the filthy rich?" The rich man just sat back and thought of all he had in store and how to keep what he had gained from the dirty, shiftless poor. The black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his sight, and what he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. And the last man in this forlorn group did naught but what was gain. Given only to the ones who gave to him was how he played the game. Now these sticks of wood in death's cold grip is proof of human sin. They did not die from the cold without. They died from the cold within. I have been helped in my life by knowing that I do not have a right to be heard. That's helpful. When you're the 5th child of 6 children, you learn early. You do not have a right to be heard, and I have certainly learned that I do not have a right to be agreed with. And I've learned also that when you traffic in truth, most times you won't be agreed with. Now, truth is truth, and it does not depend upon consensus. The truth is the truth if everybody agrees, and the truth is the truth if nobody agrees. And Jesus said, "If you continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed. You will know the truth, and the truth is what will free you. Free you of false concepts and ideas and notions that are absolutely binding." The writer of Proverbs said in Proverbs 23:23, "Buy the truth and do not sell it. Buy the truth and do not sell it. Now, that one verse speaks of the principle of truth, the purchase of truth, and the pawning of truth. We live in a day of information. Information is at our fingertips. Everyone has a device. You remember when this used to be simply a phone? Now it is a device. And we have so much information at our fingertips. But while we have more and more information, it seems that we have less and less truth. Truth is to information what nutrients are to food. It's possible to have a bulging belly with food and yet be starved nutritionally. And it's possible to be weighted down with information and be starving for truth. I determined in the 5 minutes that I have, and I can barely clear my throat in 5 minutes, not to lecture, but to ask the questions that I have here. 3 questions. And I'm reminded of what David said. He said, "Search me, O God. Search me, O God." It's not my mama, not my daddy, my brother, not my sister, but it's me, O Lord. Search me, O God. Know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me. Not in them, but in me. David said also in Psalm 19, verse 14, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable, O Lord, unto thee, my strength and my redeemer." Here are the 3 questions today. Who, if anyone, do you currently judge to be so wrong, so unworthy, that you can't bring yourself to hear or cooperate with? That's a question for you today. Number 2, have you traded your integrity and honesty and humanity because platform requires it of you? Number 3, are you contributing in division and disunity at the expense of character and to the detriment of the people who elected you? These are questions for you today. As we close our eyes together to pray, I'm going to ask that we all picture ourselves around that dying fire. Can we pray together? Oh Lord, you see our hearts. You see what is truly there in ways we can't and probably don't want to. If we saw our hearts, oh Lord, it would lay us low. But you know this. This is what we need, to see ourselves through your eyes. There are people who are willing to see and to be changed. We'll know, Lord, because it will show. Those who lead in giving first, loving first, humbling themselves first. Because that's what you did. You gave, you loved, you humbled yourself to be killed on a sinner's cross on our behalf. You held back nothing from us. You showed us how. When we see it in each other, we will know it came from you. Lord, help us to give ourselves to you and to each other. That's the only way. And we pray this in the strong name of our blessed Redeemer, our Savior, your Son, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Doorkeepers will open the doors. The chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits read the proceedings of the previous legislative day and found them to be correct. And one more thing, I will not let anyone walk through my mind with dirty feet. Gandhi.
I hope somebody's writing those down. You are an inspiring chairman, Chairman Hogan. Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, owner 59th moves following be established as the order of business during the first period of the unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Report of standing committees. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1228 by Representative Buckner, the 137th, Stevens, the 164th. Oliver, the 82nd, Trammell, the 132nd, Robichaud, the 48th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend Article 7, Chapter 4, Title 49, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to medical assistance generally.
Health and Human Services.
House Bill 1229 by Representative Buckner, the 137th, Stevens, the 164th, Trammell, the 132nd, Couch, the 50th, and Ulowitz, the 42nd. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to revenue and taxation.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 1230 by Representative Kendrick of the 93rd, Bodie the 62nd, Wilson the 80th, Bazemore the 63rd, Kennedy the 102nd, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Article 2, Chapter 21 and Title 50 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to state tort claims.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1231 by Representative Green of the 151st, Yurt of the 152nd, Hobson the 153rd. A bill being titled Act to amend an act to create the Cheehaw Park Authority. Approved date.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1232 by Representative Davis of the 87th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 4, Chapter 12 of Title 15 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to grand juries.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 1233 by Representative Powell, the 32nd. Bill be titled an act to amend an act to provide for a homestead exemption from the city of Livonia ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Resolution 1590 by Representative Schofield, the 60th, Clark of the 180th, Smyrie of the 135th, Bennett of the 94th, Hobson of the 153rd. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on creating a respectful and open world for natural hair.
Judiciary.
House Resolution 1597 by Representative Taylor, the 173rd. A resolution honoring the life of Major Henry Talmadge Elrod and dedicating a bridge in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1598 by Representative Taylor, 173rd. A resolution recognizing United States military veterans and dedicating a bridge in their honor.
Transportation.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Irwin of the 28th to be entitled an act to amend, revise, consolidate, and supersede several acts incorporating the town of Tallulah Falls.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Unnumbered House Resolution by Representative Hatchett and others urging all law enforcement agencies in the state of Georgia to implement psychological testing and improve current training practices for peace officers.
Public safety and homeland security.
Senate Bill 509 by Senator Ligon of the 3rd, a bill to be entitled an act to abolish the Glynn County Police Department.
Governmental affairs.
Senate Bill 512 by Senator Jones of the 25th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act to create the Central State Hospital Local Redevelopment Authority.
Intergovernmental coordination.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1219 by Representative Williams of the 145th, a bill to amend an act creating the Central State Hospital Local Redevelopment Authority. House Bill 1220 by Representative Smith of the 41st, a bill relating to general provisions regarding public utilities and public transportation. House Bill 1221 by Representative Kelly of the 16th and Cook of the 18th, a bill to amend an act to provide a homestead exemption from Haralson County school ad valorem district taxes. House Bill 1222 by Representative Cooper of the 43rd, a bill relating to professions and businesses. House Bill 1223 by Representative Watson of the 172nd, Campbell of the 171st, a bill to amend an act to establish an airport authority for Colquitt County. House Bill 1224 by Representative Gertler of the 8th and Irwin of the 28th, a bill to amend an act to amend, revise, consolidate, and supersede the several acts incorporating the town of Tallulah Falls. House Bill 1225 by Representative Gertler of the 8th, a bill to amend an act to provide a new charter for the city of Young Harris. House Bill 1226 by Representative Shannon of the 84th, Beverly of the 143rd, Jackson of the 64th, Wynn of the 89th, Cannon of the 58th, and others, a bill relating to arrest by private persons. House Bill 1227 by Representative Chokas of the 138th, a bill to authorize the governing authority of the Unified Government of Catoosa, Chattahoochee County to levy an excise tax. House Resolution 1551 by Representative Turner of the 21st, Caldwell of the 20th, Stovall of the 74th, Clark of the 147th, Thomas of the 39th, and others. Resolution creating the National Statuary Hall Collection Replacement Committee. House Resolution 1552 by Representative Park of the 101st, Williams of the 37th, Wilson of the 80th, Kennard of the 102nd, Clark of the 108th, and others. Resolution urging all Georgians to participate in the 2020 census to ensure a complete and accurate count. House Resolution 1589 by Representative Dempsey of the 13th, Scoggins of the 14th, and Lumsden of the 12th. Resolution honoring the life of Mr. Carl Evans and dedicating an intersection in his memory. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman of the Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Governmental Affairs has had under consideration the following bills and resolutions of the Senate. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations: Senate Bill 504 do pass. Senate Resolution 793 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman. Representative Jan Tankersley, the 160th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination has had under consideration the following bills of the House. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1163 do pass. House Bill 1169 do pass. House Bill 1170 do pass. House Bill 1171 do pass. House Bill 1173 do pass. House Bill 1174 do pass. House Bill 1175 do pass. House Bill 1176 do pass. House Bill 1177 do pass. House Bill 1178 do pass. House Bill 1179 do pass. House Bill 1180 do pass. House Bill 1181 do pass. House Bill 1182 do pass. House Bill 1183 do pass. House Bill 1189 do pass. House Bill 1191 do pass. House Bill 1192 do pass. House Bill 1193 do pass. House Bill 1194 do pass. House Bill 1196 do pass. House Bill 1197 do pass. House Bill 1200 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jan Tankersley of the 160th District, Chairman. Representative Smith of the 134th District, Chairman, on Committee on Rules, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Rules had in consideration the following resolution of the Senate, and it's instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendation: Senate Resolution 19 do pass by substitute. Representative Jan Tankersley of the 160th District, Chairman on Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had in consideration the following bills of the House and Senate. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House. The following recommendations: House Bill 1201 do pass. House Bill 1202 do pass. House Bill 1215 do pass. House Bill 1218 do pass. House Bill 1166 do pass. House Bill 1167 do pass. House Bill 1198 do pass. House Bill 1199 do pass. House Bill 1216 do pass. Senate Bill 490 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jan Tankersley, the 160th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Okay, we're going on now to the local calendar. Going on to the local calendar. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. There is a note in your notebooks that we've gotten further legal opinions on. I don't think there are any bills that require a recorded two-thirds roll call vote. That's the opinion of the chair, and so it'd be majority votes on all of them. We have somebody wanting to be recognized in 341. That appears to be Representative Gullett. Purpose does
Yes, sir, I'd like to make a motion.
What purpose does Representative Gullett rise?
To make a motion?
State your motion.
I'd like to make a motion to remove HB 1167 from local consent calendar so that the bill may be voted on separately.
What was the bill number again?
It's HB 1167.
Okay, the gentleman has moved that House Bill 1167 be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. What purpose does the minority leader of the House rise?
Object to the motion.
Okay, so we're going to, does the gentleman move? Does the gentleman move?
Yes.
The gentleman moves. All right, so the question before the body will be whether House Bill 1167 will be removed from the local calendar and voted on separately. All those in favor of the motion will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine and call the roll.
Alexander, Anulowitz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Efstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones J., Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, Laricchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkel, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankers, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yerda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernal, Cannon, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B., Moore C., Morris M., Nelson, Wen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaux, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M., Stevens M., Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams M.F., Williams M., Wilson, Beasley Teague,
No.
Bonner,
Yes.
Buckner,
No.
Burchett.
Yes.
Caldwell.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Cantrell.
Yes.
Dickerson.
No.
Dukes.
No.
Gamble.
Yes.
Gilliard. Gordon.
No.
Green. Gullett.
Yes.
Jones, J.B. Kirby.
Yes.
Lott.
Yes.
Mathis.
Yes.
Metz.
No.
Momtahan.
Yes.
Park.
No.
Pruitt. Rogers.
Yes.
Singleton.
Yes.
Stovall.
No.
Williams, R.
Yes.
Alexander. Bennett. Cooper. Dreyer. Gordon. Green.
Yes.
Hatchett. Green was a yes. Holland. Jackson, M. Jones, J. Jones, T. Kelly. Kendrick. McCall. Moore, B. Perkel. Powell. Smyrie. Williams, MF. Cooper.
Okay, members will take a moment and look at the board and make sure that the board accurately reflects your vote. Representative Todd Jones is trying to vote. Okay. Take a moment and look. Mr. Clerk, you may lock the machines. On the gentleman's motion, the ayes are 94, the nays are 64, and the bill has been removed from the local calendar to be voted on separately. What purpose does the minority leader of the House rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I would move to lay House Bill 1167 on the table.
The gentleman has moved that House Bill 1167 be placed on the table. Is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none and the bill is on the table. Which now takes us to the local calendar without House Bill 1167. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 1163 by Representative Green of the 151st, Randolph County. House Bill 1169 by Representative Green of the 151st, City of Shellman. House Bill 1170 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th, Newton County. House Bill 1171 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th, Newton County. House Bill 1173 by Representative Green of the 151st, City of Bluffton. House Bill 1174 by Representative Dickerson of the 113th, Newton County. House Bill 1175 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st, City of Port Wentworth. House Bill 1176 by Representative Jones of the 47th, City of Mountain Park. House Bill 1177 by Representative Benton of the 31st, City of Jefferson. House Bill 1178 by Representative Benton of the 31st, City of Commerce. House Bill 1179 by Representative Benton of the 31st, Jackson County. House Bill 1180 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th, Chattooga County. House Bill 1181 by Representative Hatchett of the 150th, Johnson County. House Bill 1182 by Representative Dubnik of the 29th, Hall County. House Bill 1183 by Representative Smith of the 133rd, Town of Pine Mountain. House Bill 1189 by Representative Dubnik of the 29th, Hall County. House Bill 1191 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Bacon County. House Bill 1192 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Pierce County. House Bill 1193 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Brantley County. House Bill 1194 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Ware County. House Bill 1196 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Coffee County. House Bill 1197 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Charlton County. House Bill 1200 by Representative Williams, 148th, Wilcox County. House Bill 1201 by Representative McLaurin of the 51st, Fulton County. House Bill 1202 by Representative McLaurin of the 51st, Fulton County. House Bill 1215 by Representative Jackson of the 64th, Fayetteville City. House Bill 1218 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, Hart County. House Bill 1166 by Representative Bonner of the 72nd, Fayette County. House Bill 1198 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, Hart County. House Bill 1199 by Representative Powell of the 32nd, Franklin County. House Bill 1216 by Representative Jackson of the 64th, Union County. Senate Bill 490 by Senator Thompson of the 14th, City of Cartersville. That completes the reading of the local legislation calendar.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines and call the roll.
Alexander, Anulowicz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark, Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Evstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Clanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M, Jaspers, Jones J, Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, LaRicchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G, Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkel, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L, Smith R, Smith V, Smyrie, Stevens R, Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E, Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A, Williamson, Yurda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernau, Cannon, Carter, Clark D, Clark J, Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D, Jones S, Jones T, Jones V, Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B, Moore C, Morris M, Nelson, Wen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaux, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M, Stevens M, Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams M.F., Williams N., Wilson, Beasley Teague, Bonner,
Yes.
Buckner,
Yes.
Burchett,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Cantrell,
Yes.
Dickerson,
Yes.
Dukes, Gamble, Gilliard,
Yes. Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Gullett,
Yes.
Jones, J.B. Jones, J.B.
Yes.
Kirby.
Yes.
Lott.
Yes.
Mathis. Metz.
Yes. Yes.
Momtahan.
Yes.
Park.
Yes.
Pruitt. Rogers.
Yes.
Singleton.
Yes.
Stovall.
Yes.
Williams, R.
Yes.
Beasley Teague.
Yes.
Bonner.
Yes.
Bruce. Carter. Clark, H. Dukes.
Yes.
England. Gardner. Hobson. Jones, V. Kendrick. Lumsden. Sharper. Smith, M. Smyrie. Thomas, E. Welch. Williams, A. Williamson. Wilson.
Members are asked to take a look at the board and make sure that your vote is recorded properly. Representative Sharper. Is your vote recorded properly? Okay. Mr. Clerk, you may lock the machines. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the ayes are 156, the nays are 1. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. All right, we're going on now to morning orders. Chair's going to ask all members to please be respectful, be seated, and give attention to the members in the well. We have a number who have signed up, and ask you to keep in mind a total of 10 minutes for all of the morning orders. Chair recognizes Representative Bennett for a morning order. She waves. Chair recognizes Representative Paris for a morning order. I'm going to go to the next one. Chair recognizes Representative Burnow for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. I'm speaking on behalf of the members of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. We are wearing kente cloth apparel in celebration of Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. Dating back to 1865, it was on June 19th that the Union soldiers, led by Major Gerald Gordon Granger, landed at Galveston, Texas, with news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. This was 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official January the 1st, 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation had little impact on the Texans due to the minimal number of Union troops to enforce the new executive order. My friends in Texas will celebrate today by eating watermelon, barbecue, and drinking red soda. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Paris for a morning order. Is she here?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Colleagues, I rise today to bring to your attention the day of Juneteenth, which is today. This is a great day in American history, something not to be just celebrated by African Americans, but also to be celebrated by all of America. It's a very important day. It's the day of emancipation of the last group of slaves that did not know that their slave owners had broken the law and not acknowledged the President's Emancipation Proclamation that had been signed in 1863, 2.5 years earlier. Thank you. I hope you remember this day and honor it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Gerald Green for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I want to ask all of you to stand as I take a moment this morning to recognize the significance of this day, June 19, also known as Juneteenth. 155 years ago today, Major General Gordon Granger landed in Galveston, Texas, and informed the people who were enslaved that the Civil War had ended and that slavery had been abolished. Although President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation was over 2 years old, the over 250,000 people that were enslaved in Texas were shocked to hear the news that they were free. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of slavery ending in the United States. I hope that we all take time today not only to celebrate this monumental step in our nation's history, but also to speak out against injustices that still happen in America today. And before this session is over, it is vital that we pass thoughtful legislation like House Bill 426 that will help so many seek justice and stamp out hate. And I will leave you all with this Bible verse from Micah, the 6th chapter, verse 8. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues.
Chair recognizes Representative Evans for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Mr. Speaker, Monday morning, I was moved by your welcome, and I felt a spirit of unity in this body as you addressed the crises our state is facing with COVID-19, record unemployment, impending budget cuts, the horror of Ahmaud Arbery's and Rayshard Brooks' murder, and protests over racial injustice and police brutality. I appreciate your strong words that if we do not pass a hate crimes bill this session, it will be a stain on Georgia. And I appreciate your insistence in enforcement of public health measures like wearing masks in this chamber to protect our colleagues and neighbors. I come before you today to express my grave concern that we are about to contribute to another injustice and one that we have the power to prevent. The Senate has produced their budget, which is being debated now with $2.6 billion in cuts. Elimination of Public Defender Appellate Division, $1 billion in cuts to K through 12 education, draconian cuts to behavioral health and disabilities. I know we have to make difficult decisions, but it is a false choice that these devastating cuts are our only solution. I come before you now to ask, in the same spirit of unity for our colleagues, you who are in positions of power, to bring forth legislation to increase revenues. By raising revenues like the tobacco tax to the national average, the state could gain benefits of $600 million per year, disincentivize smoking, decrease addiction, improve health, and save hundreds of millions in healthcare dollars. By eliminating the double tax loophole, where Georgians making an average of $240,000 a year can write up their state income tax payments, we can raise $175 million in additional revenues. By trimming corporate tax credits, such as capping our film tax credit $100 million, restricting transferability, and eliminating and reducing special interest tax breaks, we can raise additional hundreds of millions. I have spoken with many of my colleagues across the aisles, and most of them agree that it makes sense to increase revenues to minimize the devastating pain of these budget cuts. Please, I implore you, let's work together today to come up with budgetary solutions that support Georgians across our state and give them a fighting chance to succeed during this pandemic. This is our responsibility to serve the common good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Dukes for a morning order.
All right, let's speed it up a little bit here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the members of the Assembly. As you know, Albany, Georgia, Dougherty County, and Southwest Georgia was hit very hard by the pandemic. But what I come for this morning is to thank the governor for those efforts that he made and the state made in making sure that our community had the resources that we need. I also want to thank each and every one of you for just acknowledging us and reaching out to the members of our delegation here in our area by your words of kindness and consideration. You know, our community has been through a lot. We went through the floods of '94 where we lost almost 25% of our housing stock. We went through a tornado in 2016 and another one in 2017. We suffered a hurricane in 2018, but I'm here to tell you that there was nothing that compared or devastated our community like the COVID virus did. You see, it infected our entire community. It started in our church, so that was our community leaders, our lawyers, our doctors, our judges, just the people who kind of ran our community. Our neighbors and our friends were dying, and they had the virus. It put a fear and a calm over our community that you could never, ever imagine. But I'm here to tell you that in Southwest Georgia, we are tough people. In Albany, we tough. When we ran out of masks, we started making masks. When we ran out of sanitizer, Pretoria Fields, who was making beer, started making sanitizers. And what we have done is we have given each of you a gift of it, just to let you know that we really thank you for that which you have done. But I want to share with you with this, and that is in our darkest hour, it was the believers who were infected, and we know and we knew that he would send a comforter to us, someone who would be able to wipe away our tears and soothe our sorrows. We would ask that you would stand and give a moment of prayer, a moment of silence for those 151 souls that were lost in Dougherty County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We yield the will.
time for morning orders has expired. We are now going to take up a special resolution. I'm going to ask all members to take your seats and give special attention. Mr. Clerk, would you please read a resolution?
Unnumbered resolution by Burns, the 159th England, of the 116th Parish, the 115th Tankersley, the 160th, and others. A resolution honoring the life and memory of Senator Jack Hill. Whereas the state of Georgia mourns the loss of one of its most distinguished citizens with the passing of Senator Jack Hill on April 6, 2020. And whereas Senator Hill was first elected to the Georgia Senate from the 4th District in 1990 and was reelected in 2018 in his 15th two-year term. And whereas during his tenure he served in many different leadership positions, including Chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee and Vice Chairman of the Senate Rules Committee. And whereas as Appropriations Chairman, his efforts to base funding on clearly defined purposes and measurements allowed the Senate to change the budget process in Georgia to a results-based form. And whereas over his illustrious career, Senator Hill sponsored key legislation that resulted in tangible benefits for the citizens of Georgia, such as the expansion of the state jobs tax credit for the economically depressed areas, the introduction and implementation of early voting, and a 5% fine surcharge aimed at funding local victim assistance programs statewide. And whereas his efforts in securing funding for state parks and academic institutions in his district have greatly improved the quality of life and education, exemplifying his efficiency as a public servant. And whereas an active community leader, Senator Hill served as chairman of the Tottenham County Development Authority, a Lion, a Rotarian, and head of a local historical preservation project that won a national award. And whereas he served as a guardian of his nation's freedom and liberty with the Georgia Air National Guard for 33 years as a unit commander and a state inspector general, he retired in 2004 from the United States Air Force Reserve, where he served as a Reserve Forces officer assigned to the Selective Service System. And whereas a man of deep and abiding faith, Senator Hill was an active member of the Reedsville Baptist Church, and whereas he was united in love and marriage to his wife Ruth Ann, and was blessed with 3 remarkable children and 7 outstanding grandchildren, and whereas he gave inspiration to many through his high ideals, morals, and deep concern for his fellow citizens, and the devotion, patience, and understanding he demonstrated to his family and friends were admired by others. Whereas he was a person of magnanimous strengths with an unimpeachable reputation for integrity, intelligence, fairness, and kindness. And by the example he made of his life, he made this world a better place in which to live. And whereas a compassionate and generous man, Senator Hill will long be remembered for his love of family, friendship, and community, and will be missed by all who had this great fortune of knowing him. Now therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the member of this body join in honoring the life and memory of Senator Jack Hill and express their deepest and most sincere regret at his passing.
Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. On a normal day, when you present a resolution like this,
Ordered. The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines.
Alexander, Anulowitz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Efstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones J., Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, Laricchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkel, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yurda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernau, Cannon, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B., Moore C., Morris M., Nelson, Hwen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaux, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M., Stevens M., Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams M.F., Williams N., Wilson, Beasley Teague, Bonner, Buckner, I don't hear the feedback echo. Beasley Teague, Bonner, Buckner. Mic isn't working in 341.
Can DJ go over there? We only have one microphone. Do not have extra batteries. I can put it on speakerphone. Hey, we can't hear her, Ma. We're sending someone over there. Or to bring batteries or something. They're coming to look at it. We just can't hear them right now.
Buckner.
Is it working in y'all's room? Is it working in 341? They can hear the mic in 341. We just can't hear it in here. Okay, DJ's coming over there. Do you want me to put it on
Yeah,
speaker?
but I don't even know that they can hear me. Because
They
I'm
can
not
hear
getting the
you.
feedback that I've been
They
getting.
can hear you. Okay, Isabella, I'll have you on speakerphone, okay?
All right, Buckner. Burchett. Caldwell. Campbell. Cantrell. Dickerson. Dukes. Gamble. Gilliard. Gordon. Green. Gullett. Jones, J.B. Kirby. Lott. Mathis. Metz. Momtahan. Park. Pruitt. Rogers. Singleton. Stovall. Williams, R. Alexander. Allen. Beasley Teague. Bennett. Bentley. Benton. Beverly. Bodie. Bruce. Dempsey. Drenner. Dreyer. Gilliard. Hughley. Jackson D. Jaspers. Jones V. Knight. Laricchia. Morris M. Rhodes. Smith L. Smith R. Smyrie. Stevens R. Williams R.
Okay, members will look at the board and make sure that it is accurate. Make sure that it's accurate. Mr. Clerk, you may lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 315, the ayes are 147, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. If you have request, I understand that Chairman Smith may have a Rules Committee meeting here shortly. You might want to get those to him. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 391.
Senate Bill 391 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Watson the 1st, Albers the 56th, Burke of the 11th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 24 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding insurance so as to require health insurers to provide coverage for early refills of a 30-day supply of certain prescription medications. This bill having referred to the Committee on Special Committee on Access to Quality Health Care, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Cooper to present the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I bring for you today Senate Bill 391. This is about prescriptions refills in times of an emergency situation like we have now, or if we have a hurricane. People who are leaving the area of a hurricane often early have been having trouble getting a 30-day supply of their medicines ahead of time as they leave, and this would override that. If the governor had declared an emergency or there was a hurricane warning by the National Weather Service and had been put in effect, you would only be able to give the refills for 30 days. If they were refillable, no Schedule IIs, and the prescriber would have to be notified in 48 hours. I ask for your favorable consideration on Senate Bill 391. This is to help people in emergency situations, and we have had problems with people unable to get their medications in the past, especially during hurricanes. Thank you very much. I'll be available for questions if we have any, Madam Chair.
There appears to be no questions.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine and call the roll.
Alexander, Hanulowitz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Abstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones J., Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, LaRicchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkle, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yurda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernal, Cannon, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B., Moore C., Morris M., Nelson, Wen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaud, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M., Stevens M., Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams M.F., Williams N., Wilson, Beasley Teague, Bonner, Buckner, Burchett, Caldwell,
Hang on just a second. I think there was a delay and I got behind. Caldwell is next.
Caldwell, Campbell, Cantrell, Dickerson, Dukes, Gamble, Gilliard, Gordon, Green, Gullett, Jones, J.B., Kirby, Lott, Mathis, Metz, Momtahan, Park, Pruitt, Rogers, Singleton, Stovall, Williams R., Bennett, Bruce, Clark J., Dreyer, England, Fry, Gilliard, Holcomb, Hughley, Jackson D., Jaspers, Jones J., McLeod, Netz, Morris M., Smith M.
Have all members voted and checked the accuracy of the board? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 148, the nays were 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 405. Senate Bill 405.
Senate Bill 405 by Senator Tippins, the 37th, read of the 33rd, Kirkpatrick, the 32nd, Jordan, the 6th, Thompson of the 14th, and others. Be titled an act to amend Code Section 15.6.2 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating the number of Superior Court judges for each judicial circuit so as to provide for an 11th judge of the Superior Courts of the Cobb Judicial Circuit. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Welch to present the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the House, I have before you Senate Bill 405. Let me begin by saying that what we've done in judiciary is we took the Cobb County judgeship that was previous in 405, we have moved into and put all the judgeships into one bill. That bill is House Bill 786, which is in the Senate. So the Cobb judgeship, the Ogeechee judgeship, and the Flint judgeship are all in one bill, and that was done by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, with the idea that we try to get through one bill rather than trying to chase three around this chamber during this COVID crisis. With that opened up this particular legislation, and as you know, being the chairman of Appropriations on Public Safety, I interact with a lot of the judges throughout the state, and in working through the budget and trying to understand some of the issues that we were seeing in courthouses, it became apparent that the ability for the administration of justice and to have a jury trial was going to be very difficult under these circumstances. You know that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court has issued 3 judicial orders postponing deadlines and limiting the effect of having jury trials. This measure that you have before you is a simple measure. What it does is it codifies and allows for us to go to 6-person jury trials in the Superior Court with the consent of the parties. So both parties have to consent. If it's a civil case and if it's a criminal case, both parties have to consent, which currently that's the way it operates under case law. It's not in our statutes, but this helps the judges understand that they can do that if both parties consent. That means the defendant has to consent and the prosecution has to consent to moving to a smaller jury. What does that mean? That means that a smaller jury pool is brought into the courthouse, which means you can separate people apart, maintain good social distancing, not any different than what we're doing in this room now. Imagine that in some of our courthouses across this state where space is limited. And if you can separate out, we can get a pool of jurors of 12 or 24 as opposed to 40-something in a room. They can be selected through the process and then sit as an impaneled jury for a trial with 6 members spaced out in the jury pool. In that sense, we can actually move these cases along, and that's what this bill is at its heart all about. We are affording the judges clear direction in our statutes and code to go to 6-person juries in state court, which they can do now anyway, but this would allow for them to do that, the judges to use their discretion in determining when that should be appropriate for civil cases, not criminal cases, civil cases in state court, and only consent of the parties in Superior Court for civil and criminal. And this way, we're hoping to move this along. Now, there's a critical part of this bill, and that is that it has built-in sunsets. It only begins July 1st of this year and runs until June 30th of next year. And that is because we traditionally go for 12-person juries. That's traditionally the way we do things. But in this crisis period, and in order to allow people that have a case where they think a jury needs to hear it, they can go for a 6-person jury and they can get ahead of the line. Think about those defendants who believe that they've been wrongly accused, or that they will convince a jury that their case should be dismissed, they should be acquitted. Those individuals are going to be waiting in jail or on bond for a long period of time trying to get through their case for a hearing. And this would allow them an expedited way to get that case heard, decided, and out of the way. If you're a civil case and you are in a posture where your case has been sitting for a long time, in a way that person, the plaintiff, is a person who's been harmed in some way, monetarily. And right now, that case could be held up as we try to go through jury trial after jury trial after jury trial, trying to get those organized and heard and that could drag out for much longer. And this would help us to move through the process where those parties consent to doing it, or where a judge thinks, in state court only, where a judge thinks that it's appropriate that it move on to a 6-person jury. Now, it can be a 9-person jury the way this code section's written, and there may be some negotiation between plaintiff's counsel and defense counsel over that. But that gives even more flexibility to the law than we currently have. So with that, I would ask for your favorable consideration. I do want to take questions because this is a very important issue, and I've spent a lot of time trying to talk to individual members in this chamber, and I do want to make sure that I address your questions and concerns. I think this is a good bipartisan measure to help our courts and help our judges and help those that are sitting there waiting for a fair trial in our court system.
There are a couple questions. The chair recognizes Chairman Setzler for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, I do.
Appreciate you bringing this. I did have some grave concerns about this, and I think you've called some of those, but I do have a question or two.
Yes.
Specifically about the felony proceedings.
Correct.
I was concerned that when you go from a 12-person jury down to a 6-person jury, it's got to be unanimous. Getting unanimity for conviction with 6 people is a very different proposition than getting unanimity from 12 people for conviction. So you can understand that balance.
Absolutely.
My concern is this becomes precedent setting. I really have concerns with this. I think the thing that it's only with, I want to confirm, it's only with a consensus of both parties. Both parties can, if either party were to object and insist upon 12, they can still by right have a 12-person jury in a felony.
You are correct.
Okay. With respect to, does the gentleman further yield?
I do.
With respect to the jury strikes, I know it enumerates in subsection A the people that are initially called from which the strikes happen. 30 persons in a traditional case. Do you still start with the same 30 and strike down to 6? Or is that number of people that are called reduced as well? And in either case, do you have the same number of strikes in paneling that final jury?
We have not altered the number of strikes that are traditionally afforded to the parties, which I think is 3 on each part. Criminal law is not my area of practice, but I'm sure a member will correct me if I'm wrong. And no, we have not altered any of the altered that impaneling of the 30 jurors. If the parties do consent, both the defendant and the prosecuting the state consent to that, then I'm going to assume that the judge and those parties will decide how big of a panel that they may need to move forward with the case. But as this is written, it doesn't alter current law as to the impanelment of those jurors.
Okay, because again, just to the gentleman, I would say, I can't speak for this body, I can only speak for myself, but with respect to legislative intent, I would have grave concerns if this becomes a pattern for us to be contemplating 6-person juries for felony cases. And I think the intent that I would certainly expect coming out of this is there's no less strikes, and that we get back to 12 as soon as we possibly can for felony juries.
And that's, and I'll direct the attention to the members that if you haven't looked at it, line 69 and 70, the last underlining portions of the bill, this subsection shall stand repealed by operation of law on July 1st, 2021. So it is truly for 1 year. And again, I'll also point to you that line 66, it does say after the introductory clause, with consent of the parties, with the consent of the parties, requiring that there be consent of both parties in order for it to move forward as a 6-person jury. And there may be, in most instances, I think we'll see people go to a traditional 12, but there may be instances where an individual believes that a fair trial will be given to him or her as a 6-person panel and would like to have that trial, be acquitted, and the bonds removed or lifted on that person, or them be able to exit whatever confinement they're in. So this is a measure that I think I deeply appreciate the chairman's points, and that is why I specifically we have this thing set for a specific repeal this time next year.
Chair recognizes Representative Vance Smith for a question.
Gentleman, you?
I do.
So help me understand we're allowing the two-party consent in Superior Court, but in state court we don't allow that. What would be the reason? Why wouldn't it be the same in both?
It is the same in both in this bill. The one difference, and I'll point it out to everyone in the body, is at line 20. You'll read it obviously line 26, but as you read through line 26, where it comes in at line 28, you'll see that it says a jury of fewer than 12 persons, but no fewer than 6, which gives you the range, at the discretion of the trial judge or by consent of the parties. So, Representative Smith, I think your point is about the discretion of the trial judge. So in there may be situations in which the trial judge has seen this case, reviewed, knows what how the parties are acting in the case. The case has languished for long periods of time. It may be such that if the judge believes that this case should be tried and it needs to be tried in a timely fashion, then that would give the judge the ability to go in and call for that jury trial of 6. What does this really do? 2 things. Number one is that it will force people to settle cases if they're being obstreperous, they're being stubborn, engaging in stubborn litigiousness, they're dragging out cases. It will allow judges to force the hands on those civil cases, civil, not criminal, civil only, in state court. Number 2, those people that really want the 12-person are probably going to go into the judge's chambers at a call. What judges do, they call people in, they ask for it's called a calendar call. What's going to happen is a lot of folks will say, I'll take my 6-person jury, judge, we'll go forward with a 6-person jury. Other groups will say, I want the 12-person jury, and that's going to essentially bifurcate the set of cases that are out there and move those persons that are 6-person juries are going to go first and get through first before you get to 12-person. So that way we're creating some efficiencies, but I'm leaving it at the discretion of the trial judge because I feel like that they know their courthouses best, they know their systems best, and they know what occupancies they can handle.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
So that trial judge, are we talking about a trial judge in Superior and state court?
No, just state court. Just state court. That section there, Representative Smith, section 15-12-121 only deals in state court, and the section below that in B, the A deals in state court, B deals in Superior Court. You'll see Superior Court at line 35.
Chair recognizes Representative Wilson in the gallery for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
Mr. Chairman, isn't it true that this bill, as drafted, has the support of the Judiciary Committee, members of both parties, and the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Attorneys, Southern Center for Human Rights, the Prosecuting Attorneys Council, Georgia Trial Lawyers Association, and the Criminal Defense Bar?
I believe that on the first 3, I believe that I have written and I've emailed to every member of this House a copy of the memorandums issued by the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, signed by their executive director, and the Southern Center of Human Rights, signed by their executive director, in support of this measure, as well as a letter sent by Prosecuting Attorneys Council in support of this measure. As for the other 2 groups, I cannot speak to their support. I understand that they are neutral on the bill. I have received information from members today for the first time that this bill has been vetted on Tuesday, heard on Tuesday. We spent a long time, as Representative Wilson knows, on this particular measure. I've just now received text from members, but from no organization outside of these chambers that has indicated any opposition to this. Some members have told me that there are 2 organizations that are opposing this, groups representing doctors for fear of large settlements in state court. And what I say to you and what I would say to them is this: if you're afraid of a jury in this state awarding a victim of negligence, then maybe you should settle your case.
Would the gentleman yield for one more question?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, isn't it true that this bill is a delicate balance of ensuring Georgians' constitutional right to a jury trial, but also understanding the unique nature of the pandemic that we're in and allowing them to be able to efficiently move their case through the system given the constraints that we're under.
It does. It allows those people who are perfectly comfortable with the 6-person jury deciding their case to get those cases heard. Let's get those out of the way. Let's move them forward. Let them get priority in the list. Move those cases forward. This bill would make it very clear from a public perspective, from a public statement in this body and hopefully the Senate as well, that this is law, this is permissible, this is a procedure you can use to expedite your cases and get a resolution. And to the gentleman's point, if I may, I want you to, everyone in this room know that I reached out to both the insurance defense bar as well as the Georgia trial lawyers organizations and informed them of this bill last week, sending out copies, discussing this measure with them, taking in and soliciting their comments. And that's why I think they've taken a neutral position on it, because we've done the advance work to try to inform them of where I was headed with this measure. I've done what I can do to reach out to organizations, but we are the deliberative body. I don't make decisions based upon what a special interest group tells me they want done. We make decisions based upon deliberation and discernment and wisdom and a motivation for the administration of justice. And I believe that this bill accomplishes this particular, all of those goals for the limited time that we hopefully are engaged in the COVID pandemic across the state.
Thank you very much for bringing this important bill.
Thank you, sir.
There's one final question. The chair recognizes Chairman Martin for a question.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, Neil.
Go Dogs.
Thank you. Okay, so you got me thinking about Georgia now. I have to regather myself for the question. No, it's a serious question.
That's what we do with witnesses on the stand.
Yes, and well done, you did. To follow up on Chairman Hunt's first question relative to a felony case where, just statistically, it's easier to convince 6 people for unanimity than 12.
Yes.
I want to make sure the question came about when you said, well, take care of all those 6-person civil cases. If you want a 12-person, you have to wait. I want to be careful in striking this balance to get rid of the court backlog, that if we have a felony case where the defendant does not wish to have a 6-person case, perhaps can't bail out of jail, is not offered bail, that they don't forever go to the bottom of the list. So if you could just address that very quickly.
No,
that was my question.
That's a great, Mr. Chairman, that's a great point. Members in this body do know that are practicing lawyers that you can apply for what's called a speedy trial. Every criminal defendant is entitled to a speedy trial, may make a speedy trial demand. And so those that have made those speedy trial demands and do want a 12-person jury will proceed accordingly. And what this will do is help shift some of those civil cases out of the way. And really we're talking about space accommodation. It all comes down to exactly what we're doing in this room. We don't have enough, we can't get social distancing without spacing people in 341 and in the gallery. It's no different than a courthouse. So what you're experiencing here is the same problem that every judge is facing in their courthouse to deal with bringing in a jury, selecting a jury, and then having them sit in the courtroom at a safe distance from each other in order to hear a case and make a decision. Let me ask you this. But for the fact that you have a sworn constitutional duty to be here today, do you think that we're going to have a lot of volunteers to jury pools when they're called up during this COVID pandemic, if they know they're going to be quartered in a room and have to sit with others that may or may not be doing the things that are important to keep safe, and they have to sit and listen to a trial for 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 or more days? I think the answer is, I think you know the answer. The answer is that people are not going to show up. And what does that do to our system of justice? It slows it down for each and every defendant who is deserving and wants a fair trial. And I would commend this bill to you, and I'll take one more question if there is one.
There are no more questions.
Thank you very much for listening to me go on for a while. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your favorable consideration of Senate Bill 405.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered. The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine and call the roll.
Alexander, Anulowitz, Barr, Barton, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Abstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones J., Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, LaRicchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkel, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yurda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernau, Cannon, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B., Moore C., Morris, M. Nelson, Wen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaud, Saints, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith, M. Stevens, M. Stevenson, Thomas, A.M. Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams, M.F., Williams, N. Wilson, Beasley, Teague, Bonner, Buckner, Burchett, Caldwell, Campbell, Cantrell, Dickerson, Dukes, Gamble, Gilliard, Gordon, Green, Gullett, Jones, J.B., Kirby, Lott, Mathis, Metz, Momtahan, Park, Pruitt, Rogers, Singleton, Stovall, Williams, R. Beasley, Teague, Burchett, Burns, Burchett, Estration, Gilliard, Jones, J. Kennard, Meeks, Morris, M. Nelson, Prince, Smyrie, Thomas, E.
Have all members voted? And check the board. If so, the clerk will... Wait. Have all members voted? And check the board. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 109, the nays were 41. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes Chairman Welch. For a motion.
Yes. I move that the rules of the House be suspended so that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Welch, the 110th and others, to be entitled an act to authorize Henry County, Georgia to exercise all redevelopment and other powers under the Georgia Constitution.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? The chair hears none. Intergovernmental coordination. Chair recognizes Representative Burchett for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to recommit Senate Bill 407 back to rules.
On the gentleman's motion that we recommit Senate Bill 407 back to rules, is there objection after the clerk reads the caption?
Senate Bill 407 by Senator Harper the 7th, Heath the 31st, Berkeley the 11th, Harrell the 40th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 6 and Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to forest resources and other plant life.
Is there objection to recommit Senate Bill 407 back to rules? The chair hearing none, it is so ordered.
Okay, we're back on the rules calendar. Ready? Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 451.
Senate Bill 451 by Senator Kennedy, the 18th, Cowser, the 46th, Upstetler, the 52nd, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 3 of Title 9 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to limitations on recovery for deficiencies connected with improvements to realty and resulting injuries, so as to clarify actions that may be brought pursuant to Code Section 9.351. This bill having referred to Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman F. Strachan to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring today to you Senate Bill 451. This legislation was requested by the Attorney General of Georgia, who has made very clear a priority of addressing Georgia's previous status as one of the worst states for human trafficking and the issues that we've seen around Medicaid fraud and other statewide responsibilities that we have, where the Attorney General is conducting investigations and working to facilitate the use of investigations to best serve Georgians throughout the state. Where's my friend, Representative Rhodes, when I need him? Mr. Speaker, I'd like to now tell the House about Senate Bill 451, just one of the many great bills that I have on the calendar today. The best part about being a chairman of a committee is you get to hear so many Senate bills, and when you ask who the House sponsor is, they say, well, I thought you, Mr. Chairman, you're willing to hear our bill. So I apologize. Let me start over. This bill is concerning this legislation was already passed by the House unanimously. So you're familiar with I previously presented a bill to you where the Court of Appeals interpreted the statute of repose to prevent people seeking coverage for a warranty, such as a 20-year roof warranty for your home. And the Court of Appeals determined that Georgia law, an interpretation of Georgia law, prohibits that coverage. So Consumer Advocate Clark Howard said that the General Assembly needs to take action on this to address the statute of repose language as soon as the General Assembly gets back into session, and Senator Kennedy introduced a companion bill while my bill was pending in the state Senate. I'd ask for your favorable consideration and for the House to unanimously pass this same language just as you did earlier this year. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I do not see any questions.
I'll yield the well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machines and sound the roll.
Alexander, Honolowitz, Barr, Barton, Belton, Bennett, Bentley, Benton, Beverly, Blackman, Bodie, Bruce, Burns, Carpenter, Carson, Chokus, Clark H., Collins, Cooper, Corbett, Dempsey, Dickey, Dollar, Drenner, Dubnik, Efstration, England, Irwin, Fleming, Fry, Gaines, Gardner, Glanton, Gravely, Harrell, Hatchett, Hawkins, Hitchens, Holcomb, Holmes, Houston, Hughley, Jackson M., Jaspers, Jones, Kelly, Kendrick, Knight, LaHood, LaRicchia, Lumsden, Martin, Mathiak, McCall, Morris G., Newton, Nix, Oliver, Parrish, Parsons, Petrie, Perkel, Powell, Reeves, Rhodes, Rich, Ridley, Rutledge, Scoggins, Setzler, Silcox, Smith L., Smith R., Smith V., Smyrie, Stevens R., Tankersley, Tanner, Tarvin, Taylor, Thomas E., Trammell, Washburn, Watson, Welch, Werkheiser, Wiedauer, Williams A., Williamson, Yurda, Allen, Bazemore, Bernau, Cannon, Carter, Clark D., Clark J., Cook, Davis, Douglas, Dreyer, Donahue, Earhart, Evans, Frazier, Gilligan, Gertler, Henson, Hill, Hogan, Holland, Holly, Hobson, Howard, Hutchinson, Jackson D., Jones S., Jones T., Jones V., Couch, Kennard, Lopez Romero, Marin, McLean, McLaurin, McLeod, Meeks, Mitchell, Moore B., Moore C., Morris M., Nelson, Huen, Paris, Prince, Pullen, Robichaux, Saint, Schofield, Scott, Shannon, Sharper, Smith M., Stevens M., Stevenson, Thomas A.M., Turner, Walensky, Wilkerson, Williams M.F., Williams N., Wilson, Beasley Teague, Bonner, Buckner, Burchett, Caldwell, Campbell, Cantrell, Dickerson, Dukes, Gamble, Gilliard, Gordon, Green, Gullett, Jones, J.B., Kirby, Lott, Mathis, Metz, Momtahan, Park, Pruitt, Rogers, Singleton, Stovall, Williams R., Beasley Teague, Bonner, Campbell, Carson, Clark J., Cooper, Davis. Dickey. Gilliard. Gordon. Gravely. Hatchett. Jackson M. Nelson. Prince. Reeves. Scoggins. Scott. Williams R.
Okay, everybody look at the board and make sure that it is accurate. Everybody look at the board. Mr. Clerk, you may lock the machines. On the passage of Senate Bill 451, the ayes are 138, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. This House is going to stand in recess until 3:15.